All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the official launch of the Bardi Shop, episode 1. Awesome show in store for you today. I have Giana Giarusso in the house. So Giana and I were talking about a week or so ago, and she informed me that she reads cards. So I'm dying to get my cards read. You figure with a new adventure like this, like you kind of want to see like what's going on, what your potential is. And you kind of enlighten me to a lot of interesting things about like what type of energy your body produces and so forth. But before we get into any of that, we need to, I don't know, take over for me. Let me know what we need to do right now.
So, anytime you're calling in spirit and you're asking like cards, or some people do runes, and that's like old Viking pagan tradition, and they're like symbols carved into various stones or sticks. But all of this card reading and rune reading, it dates back to Middle Ages and beyond. People used this to connect to a higher power, to get answers, to seek answers. And I think that at any given point in our lives, we could all use a little unbiased advice.
That's not true. I like where I am in the world.
Sometimes you need a little kick in the pants.
Or a major kick in the pants. But go ahead.
But anytime you're doing that, you want to clear the space and create a safe space, because you only want to work with light beings, because spirits can be tricksters. Even when you're working with angels, Lucifer was an angel. So for me, I come from a Catholic background. I'm no longer religious. I'm spiritual. And the power that I'm always connecting to is my higher self, because we all are innately good. We come to this planet innately good before environmental and social kind of.
So you think that's what changes people?
Oh, absolutely. Most behaviors are learned,
You writing all this down, Brianna?
Yes.
Nothing I do is my fault. It's all external factors.
Oh, see, but we got to take responsibility for it at some point. And
We're going to edit that part out.
This is an awakening that a lot of people are starting to come into, because look at the world right now. You could say that there's a lot of shit going on.
Oh, God. Yeah. That's why I don't watch the news.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole other story, but I think that when you're dealing with spirit, you just want to make sure it's the purest, highest vibration, that it's of light, and that it's coming from the right place. So I come from a Catholic background, but trust me, I've questioned all of it.
Thank you.
No longer identify with that, but through meditation and yoga, through this health and wellness journey that I've been on, it's kind of enlightened a more moral way of living, I guess. And
see, I like where you're going, because I've always been a nonconformist.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone really likes church. It's almost like a state, like you have to go when you're a kid because your parents make you. First chance I got, I completely got away from that. Now, it's not that I don't believe in a higher power. I just don't believe in the way we're taught being raised Catholic. I just think there's too many conflicting ideas. It's too regimented. Like, do this or burn in hell. Right. Do as I say. Like, I just can't buy into all that.
Yeah, and fear is of the lowest vibration. So if God is preaching love is the highest vibration. The opposite of that is fear. So
it's fear-based.
So why are humans drawn to this fear-based kind of way of living, when if we all go the opposite way and we're all living on the vibration of love, like, you no longer need these institutions.
No, you're right. Yeah, absolutely right.
So you just want to call in whoever you connect with, the universe, your higher self, God, whatever it is, the nature, whatever it is you connect with that is coming from your highest self, that's what you want to bring in, so that it's pure, because you could meet spirits that are tricksters. That's what I said before. And
that's what you told us at the beach last week. And it was funny because Mark, who we had on the show last week, said the same exact thing, same phrase, tricksters. So as soon as you guys kind of mentioned the same thing within like a day of each other, I'm like, all right, so we're on to something. I want to get these two in the same room at some point.
That's the collective consciousness.
So my curiosity lies in, let's just say hypothetically, you're in a bad place. You're surrounded by bad energy, bad spirits. What would you have to do, to kind of clean the slate and start over from scratch?
It's going to be different for every person. It's what you personally connect with. But the more that you focus on the negative, the fear, you're going to keep increasing that vibration. So you got to break the pattern.
So in other words, if you constantly surround yourself with negativity and have a negative mindset, you're welcoming that energy.
Yeah, you're even welcoming disease. Like the word itself says it, dis-ease.
There are so many people I need to actually play that little clip for in my life right now. Italian backgrounds,
yeah.
Half our families live in that space.
This is what I live for coaching people. Like, this is what I do. We talked about it before. Mm-hmm. So I recently found out, so collective consciousness, that is universal knowledge. So I just briefly heard a podcast on this thing called human design. I still don't know a lot about it. I'm learning about it currently. But it takes into factor astrology and quantum physics, and it puts together this chart of when you were born.
Which, by the way, I gave you the wrong time.
Oh.
I gave you the wrong time. I
have the right that one. Could drastically change, your
I think I told you like
makeup.
3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my mother actually found it. It was 5:38 in the evening.
Oh.
So I'm a liar.
So yeah, we should look that up again.
We should redo mine.
Yeah.
Let's do the cards after you. I don't know what.
Yeah, so we want to clear and create a safe.
My wife's afraid of her own shadow, so I don't know if I bring any negative energy in the house. I may get divorced, so I think we need to let's get that straightened out first, and then, honey, just hang tight.
We've already started the ritual process. That's what the tea is about. So this is a heart opening tea. Cacao is huge in opening the heart. It has a slight caffeine content, like less than a half a cup of decaf, so it's not going to be crazy, but that little caffeine boost is going to speed up the blood flow and increase the blood flow.
What about the 200 milligram caffeine pill I took right before you got here? I could taste my heartbeat right now.
Yeah, you're in the ethers somewhere.
It's fantastic. It's metallic. I taste metal. What's a stroke feel like? I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. You can edit it out. Just kidding.
It's all staying. Oh, don't forget, everyone watching, listening, like, subscribe, and share. Not for me. This has nothing. This is all for Giana's benefit. So this is, just do her a favor, not me.
So back to human design. I had heard a podcast on it. I was going up to Western Mass to go to a yoga festival with One World Cacao, who the tea is from. And I listened to this podcast, and I was like, oh, I got to find out what my human design is. So I get to the festival, and the other women that I'm working with, guess what they're talking about? Human design.
It was meant to be.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, well, what do you guys know about human design? Because now I'm a sponge. Tell me all you know. So they're like, oh, pull up this website and this is what you got to do. So I was like, okay, cool. So I did my chart and I found out that I'm a projector. So about 20% of the population is a projector or are projectors. And what that basically means.
It's like an archetype kind of.
Yes.
Building schematic that you can, if I'm using the right words, but it's like choosing different archetypes.
Yeah, it's choosing different archetypes, and then in your archetypes it kind of tells you the best way to structure your life. Structure is kind of maybe not the right word.
It's a great clothing store in the late 90s.
So projectors, there are like 4 or 5 other archetypes.
I think you said I was a generator.
I only know about really the projectors because that's what I am. So that's what I looked up. So they're about 20% of the population, and really what projectors' jobs to do here are to basically mirror back other people's shit on them. So a lot of people don't like us because...
You tell it like it is.
Yeah, we're honest and we're telling it like it is, and that's hard for some people to hear.
Energy gangster.
And people are like, well, who are you? Do you do this work? It's like, yeah, well, actually, yeah, I do. I'm telling you to stretch and meditate and do yoga and breathe better because, like, you're going to function at a higher level.
Well, and this is becoming more and more common now because as people kind of lose faith in, like, the healthcare system, you realize after a while the medications aren't fixing people. They're making people worse. More and more people are trying to get back down to, like, nature, like trying to get themselves back to like homeostasis where...
Well, we never talked about prevention before because there's no money in prevention.
No, there's not. No, there's only money if you're sick.
Right.
Doctors are salespeople. Sorry, docs. But they are. They need you to be sick.
They're just what they're taught to be.
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
you're
like,
exactly right.
We all go to school for various things. Like, you can't learn everything, even the stuff that the yoga, yoga's over 5,000 years old. I can't possibly know everything. It's a journey, and I've been on this journey now for a little over 7 years, and I still will tell you I am a beginner.
Yeah.
Like, once this journey starts, there's no going back.
But it's nice because see, I think humans are wired for progress. I think progress is what's keeping people interested, motivated, and kind of keeping that energy inside of you going. And that's why I'm a big believer in you. If you do something outside of your comfort zone every single day, it's a growing process, but it's progress. And I think to have that every single day, you grow, you feed, and all of that, it snowballs, and you just become a better person, like a more enlightened person.
Absolutely. I was a manager for Victoria's Secret before I was 20.
We could talk about discounts after the show.
And it was a very high stress job, and I was really young and I didn't have a family, so I would be at the store till 3:00 in the morning. Like, they didn't care as long as the store looked good.
Oh yeah, they don't care.
So I was in a very high stress job, and people were like, "You should go to yoga," and I was like, "Yeah, fuck that." It's like, yeah, I don't even have, like, how am I supposed to do that?
No time. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I'm a full-time student and I work full-time. Like,
You get trapped in that mindset, like,
yeah.
go to college, get a job, get a paycheck, and that's your life.
Yep, get on that hamster wheel and just keep spinning. And then finally, I was at a breaking point. My best friend, who I met there, we were like, finally, like, fuck it, we're gonna go. So we went to this one class, and it was not a beginner class, and I was dead.
You got your
And I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I hated that or loved that. Like, I don't really know what I'm feeling, but I kind of feel good. Like, I don't know why. But I got hooked, and they did like this 2-week membership. So I went almost every day for 2 weeks, and I was like, all right, I'll drink the Kool-Aid. Like, I'm on board. So I kind of took a drastic life change. I quit my job. I moved to Florida, and I got a job with Lululemon Athletica, the yoga activewear company. And that was the start of what I would call my enlightenment.
Well, you were networking at that point. You were meeting more and more people, I would say.
Yeah, more and more like-minded people who cared about juicing and health and how to eat and, what you're putting in your body, where it comes from. Like, that was huge for me, because you go to the supermarket and you have no idea how long
it's garbage.
It's been there for, where it came from. It's traveling ley lines.
And then
carcasses have been dead for years, and it's not fresh.
And then the laws are set up so you can actually lie on the labels now. Like,
Yeah.
you go to Whole Foods, you think you're getting, like...
Exactly.
It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit.
You got to do your research, and even at that, like, it's just so processed at this point. So it really just kind of sparked this journey, and I got to do a lot of yoga with them, and that was really cool. So I graduate college with a fashion merchandising and retail marketing degree. I'm like, oh.
And you hated it.
Yeah. Well, not that I hated it, because Lululemon was a great company to work for. I was constantly surrounded by like-minded people. I was getting goal coached every single day. They do a lot of Brian Tracy goal coaching stuff. And what you said before, like, do something every day that scares you. That's a big thing there. And they basically groom you to not be there for very long. And I was coming from this other background where it's like, you stay at the job until you die.
Yeah, you look at our grandparents. They came to this country and they worked the same job. God, my grandmother, I've heard the story 7,000 times. I worked at Con Edison in New York for 40-something years. Like, the thought of sitting at a desk for 4 more months, I want to jump off the Newport Bridge. I'm not really going to do that, people. But you just, the thought of sitting in the same place in a cubicle for any extended period of time is, like, soul crushing. Like, I can't even imagine.
And we could all, like, be doing what we want.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. You're one choice away
Do
from
you know
living the life of your dreams.
what we're doing
And-
right now is exactly what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like, this is the whole premise of me doing this is I want to motivate, like, through people like yourself, other people to just, it's not that big of a deal. Just change your mind, change your mindset, stop looking at the world the way you have, and tomorrow you could be a different person. You could be a better person. You could be happy.
So projectors, this is what we do. We coach people to go after their dreams, and I was inadvertently doing this through teaching yoga. So I got my 200-hour, which is nothing. I knew nothing, but I got thrown into an awesome teaching spot, and I started working with people who were really injured, who were coming off of hip replacement surgeries, and I knew nothing about anatomy or injury or anything like that. So this is, not only is it a physical injury, but it's also an energetic thing too. Because people are in pain and no one wants to live in pain. That sucks.
I lived in pain for the last 7 days. It was brutal.
Oh, yeah, with your tooth.
Yeah. By the way, I want to thank Dr. Eric Ritchie and Vlad. I'm going to butcher this. Botezatau. Thanks for yanking my tooth out today. Fantastic. Actually, this is something my wife's been telling me for years now. I'm going to repeat something she said to me. I didn't feel a thing, and I thought it was going to last longer than 12 seconds.
So projectors, yeah.
Yeah, projecting. Back on to projecting.
So, yeah. We were talking about yoga.
Projecting.
Injury working. Okay.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So I really had to learn, because I'm empathetic, so I really feel for people, and it's almost like I can literally feel their pain, and I have been intuitive since I was a child. Even my mom's grandfather, who was dead for a very long time, was appearing to me when I was 2, and then I've had other kind of things. So I've always been intuitive, and I was really fortunate to have parents who weren't scared of it, and kind of not made a joke of it, but made light of it, but still was like, all right, do you, kid, because we can't fake this shit. Like,
it's hard. It's a path you have to walk alone. Like, it's definitely something where people are going to look at you and think that you're either forcing it or you're faking it and so forth. But but it's weird. It takes a different kind of person to have the balls, so to speak, to make that change and make that commitment and do something that nobody else is doing.
And I wished it away for a very long time, to a point where I wasn't even dreaming anymore, because my dreams were so powerful, and it would be things that would actually happen, and I would be like, fuck, I can't handle this. And this is going back to when I was in high school. So I would go to bed every night and be like, please, God, don't let me have any dreams. Just let me get like rest, and just like let no one bother me.
Yeah.
So when I started to come into this enlightenment, it was work to try and get that back, because spirit listens. If you ask, you shall receive. And that is why, if you stay in that negative mindset, if you're afraid to go out of your door because you're afraid you're going to get into an accident, well, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get into an accident, because the universe heard you're afraid, and that is a vibration that they're being like, there's nothing to be afraid of, and we're going to make you confront it now.
Yeah.
So and not to say bad shit isn't going to happen, because like it's life. It's just how gracefully you handle it. You know,
it's
like,
how you respond to it.
Yeah. So after coming into this enlightenment, my grandmother passed a little over a year ago. That could be crippling for some people, and they could literally not move on past that. And I get that too, but energy never dies. It just changes form.
Correct. Yep.
So you can still have a relationship with the deceased person, even though they're not here physically. They're still around. I asked her to send me a sign, and it is there. Like, last year around this time, I fell 20 feet down, like slid down a rock in Mount Mansfield, and there is no reason I should have walked away injury free. I mean, I had some scrapes and bruises, but as soon as I was face to the mountain, like, I shouldn't have front teeth. Like, they shouldn't. These are real. Like, it. I
know a good dentist if you want to get them.
I know, that's great.
Let me know.
And I was like, as soon as I got up, I was like, wow, she saved my ass. And she sent me 2 signs that day that were very clear. Like, yeah, you're welcome, kid.
So it's funny, Brianna, my wife and my mother-in-law think that their grandmother
is the bumblebee. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, yep. And like my family thinks my grandfather comes back to us as a cardinal.
Yep.
So
that's very cardinal is very patriarchal.
And that's what he was.
Yeah.
He was absolutely the patriarch of the family. So it's weird. I never viewed things and energy and the deceased that way. But I do now, because you see so many different things.
Yeah.
Like it could be the oddest thing. Brianna and I could be having a great day or an argument, which is very rare. We really don't argue, but it's odd. In those little moments is when something presents itself, and it's a bee. It's always a bumblebee. It's whether it's a bee outside or
because she's like, be nice to my granddaughter, motherfucker.
Or it's like something we're out. How many times have we been out in the store and we see things? So yeah, I never viewed the world that way, but I absolutely do now.
Yeah, I mean, I lost my brother, my oldest brother, when I was 8, and it was pretty devastating because I had a great father, but he was also a father figure because he was like 12 years older than me, and he was just around a lot, and I had a very special bond with him. And when he died, it was like absolutely devastating. And, you know, my family will never be the same. And anyone who has experienced that, their family will never be the same after that. And it didn't take, I was 19 before I was like, oh, he's still here. He's still here all the time.
Yeah.
I had a dream of him, and it wasn't a dream. It was like a memory. And
Yeah.
it was so real. He walked in my front door of my house, came to Sunday dinner like he had never been gone. And I literally looked at him and was like, where the fuck have you been? Like, you've been gone for over 10 years. Like, are you kidding me? And you just walk in the front door. Like, I was pissed in the dream. And he was like, I'm always around. I'm always here. Just call on me and I'll be here. And he had Sunday dinner with us, and I walked him to the front door. And I was like, please don't go again. Like, this sucks. Like, you just got back. Like, are you kidding me? And the feelings were all there, and it was like a dream, right? I woke up sobbing.
I have goosebumps right
And
now.
yeah, I woke up sobbing, absolutely sobbing. And I was like, oh my God, like, he's always around me.
Yeah.
Like, and he, before he left, he had said, like, you're on the right path. Just keep following the signs. And I do like all of this crazy shit, and people are like, you know, how do you do that? It's like, I'm just following my intuition. Like,
Yeah, it's not like you're
it's never
following it,
steered me
you're being
wrong.
drawn, you're being pulled towards it. And that's
Yeah.
the difference. That's
and
the difference.
shit still hits the fan, but I tell people, I coach this all the time. It's how gracefully you handle that. Shit is always going to hit the fan. Like, bad things are always going to happen. It's just the way it is. That's what we're here to learn.
But
We're
it's
here to
life's
learn how to-
coachable moments.
Right.
That's all it is. Like, what do you extract from that situation? Like, what could you do differently in the future? Or how could you position yourself differently in the world to either A, avoid it, or B, handle it better next time? Like, there's a
Yeah.
lesson in everything.
Exactly. And I think we all want to live in a better space. I think
Mhm.
everyone is starting to come into.
Are you making fun of the size of my house? Is that-
I think that everyone wants better. Like, America right now is, like,
It's a
enough.
shit show.
Yeah, like, enough with the violence. Like, enough
Everybody's
with
at each
this-
other's throats because that's what the news is telling them they should be doing. That's all it is.
and other influences. Like, think of all the social conditioning that we go through, even going to gender kind of roles. It's like we're always being told who to be. It's like once you start unlearning what everyone has told you to be, and you start truly living
Just do-
your truth, you get in touch with your higher self, and you start living through that. It's like that's where the magic happens. That's what's game changing. That's what you're doing right now.
I love this.
You're
But
starting to live your truth.
if you listen to any incredibly successful person, this could be like a Tony Robbins, I mean, anyone.
Right.
They are literally all doing exactly this. This is their mindset. They just refuse to follow the norm and be told what they can and can't do. And they're constantly, daily, I mean, down to like the minute, they're constantly trying to better themselves. What did I do an hour ago that made me feel a certain way so I don't do it again? And it's just constant. You're evolving constantly.
Yeah.
It's when you stop evolving and stop learning and stop trying to grow as a person, you're essentially dead at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just there. You're just a shell waiting to go into a box. That's all you are. So-
We talk about the zombie apocalypse. Everyone's obsessed with it. We're fucking living it.
Yes, we are.
We're all walking robots.
Oh, I hate that. Yeah, I
how
hate
many
phones.
times you see people crossing the street and their head is down? It's
Is
like,
it bad that I
you're
want to
gonna
clip them with
get-
my
yeah,
car?
like you're gonna, like, what the fuck? Look up.
Yeah, I can't. I don't have
Your
the
phone
patience for
is
it.
not going to tell you that there's a car coming.
Don't be shocked if I'm on the 11 o'clock news in a few days. So one of the things I wanted to do today, I was very excited to have you do a card reading
Yeah,
for me.
I definitely want to.
So you brought some stuff with you today. Why don't you
Yep.
tell the audience what you brought, why you brought it, and then I'd really like to get into that process.
Yep. So, especially because of what you guys did last week, I know you talked maybe about
Yes.
spirits a little bit.
Yes.
So anytime you're doing that, you want to set boundaries because you don't want anything to stay, because this is your sacred space. This is your home.
Matthew, what she's talking about is what they call a spiritual safe word. Is really what that is.
Yeah.
Mine's foliage or spumoni. But go ahead.
Yeah. So I was saying before that my house is gridded and I have like golden light that comes through it, and I make sure that I'm not bringing anything home. Also, before I walk in, when I physically work with clients,
You want
and
to bring their energy back with you.
I don't want their energy to attach to me because I'm a light being, so that could happen sometimes. So I wear my malas or different crystals. I have some crystals with me that actually are going to stay here for
Thank
you
you.
guys.
I can promise you Brianna's out getting rosary beads out of her car right now.
Well, the funny thing about mala beads and rosary beads are they both have 108 beads. So I'll let that sink in a
108.
little bit.
It's 18 times 6, 36 times 3, 27 times 4. I got a thing with numbers. What's the significance with 108? 12 times 9.
That was what the ancient yogis used, and I'm sure there's like a concrete reason, but like even when they started their day with 108 sun salutations.
Look up the 108. I want to know now.
Yeah.
I'm really curious now. I love that number, by the way.
Oh, really?
I don't know why, because there's so many other numbers that equal that when you play around with them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why.
You're inadvertently into numerology. You should look that up. We'll talk about that.
It's strange.
Episode.
I should have been an accountant.
Maybe you got like spirit comes through as numbers.
It's a sacred number in Hinduism and Buddhism and yogic. Is that how you say
Yep,
that?
yogic
Tradition. Malas or japa beads come in a string 108. We use for devotional meditation. Let me look a little further and figure out exactly why it's sacred.
I find it interesting because that was my SAT score.
Well, 8 is infinity, so that's like a high vibrational number.
Really?
Yeah.
And I was born in August, the 8th month.
Oh, 8, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
See, you married.
Oh, wait.
You married well.
Okay, so
we're keeping these here.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
So this is, I'll show you what they all are because they're different, and you can place them where you feel you need.
Where is ideal?
We're just coming off the full moon, and these were cleansed in the full moon. They've also been on my working altar for a little while. And that's just like kind of where I do all of my magical stuff.
I've been told for years that I need help in the bedroom. Should I keep those next to the bed?
I'm sure there are crystals for
Okay,
that.
good. Look that up,
so
babe.
this is black tourmaline, and this is just really good for protection, and it kind of absorbs negative energy. So this is one that has to be cleansed regularly. So put out in the sun or washed with salt water.
When I worked at Care New England, there was 2 women in my office that kept that on their desk. They kept it right in their keyboard. I forget who, but yeah, I remember that.
I mean, like I said before, everyone's coming from trauma, drama, bullshit at some point in their life. Like, people got shit that they need to clear. So you want to protect yourself from that. That's a good one to have in the house at all times. Rose quartz is love, so self-love and romantic love, and just so that anything in and out of this store is of love and of your highest and best interest.
I need the romantic one, like a block of it. That's what I need.
We actually have a lot of quartz around this area. A lot of it comes from here. This is smoky quartz. This is like kind of like the healer's stone. So it is a protection stone. So when you're working with people, it just helps to protect your energy as you help them. Because really, we hear this term a lot now with this new age movement, which is not new age at all.
And people are just becoming aware of it.
Yeah, people are just becoming aware of it, but actually it's thousands of years old.
Yeah, it's older than most of what they know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so you're not actually healing them. That's like a huge misconception. If you're going to a healer and they're telling you that they're going to heal you, like, run the other way, because that's not what it's about. A healer is about sparking something within the individual that makes them do the work themselves, because that's what this is all about, is about doing the work yourself to
Correct.
Get to know yourself, your truest self, before society and schooling and family things have told you to be a certain way. Before all that, who you have truly incarnated in this planet to be. And that's what that human design is. It's kind of a tool to help you kind of pinpoint it. In yoga, they call it you're living your dharma, and that's living your purpose, what you're here to do, because we're all here on this planet. We all incarnated on this planet at this very time
For a
to
reason.
do something for a reason, right? Like my grandmother was a very spiritual woman, Catholic, but very spiritual, and she would always say, these are end times. These are end times. And not to spark fear, but to be that there was something else better after this, but we have to do the work now to get there, and it's going to look messy for a little while. We see it happening right now. It's happening right now.
God,
I mean, look at this thing that just happened in El Paso. Like, I wouldn't have even known about it if these two celebrities, which, like, it is what it is, but these two celebrities were doing these 22 acts of kindness to bring light to the 22 victims. Like, that was barely even covered. Like, we've become so
it doesn't sell. Dramatization sells. Tragedy sells.
We've
Fear
become
sells.
so accustomed to it. We're desensitized to all of it.
I don't know if you heard
like,
about
it's
this.
not real until it happens in your town.
I heard the other day that they have bulletproof backpacks you can buy for your kids now.
And they're training kids on how to use them. On how to use them as a shield. Like, that's fucked up.
Yeah,
Why don't we talk about mental health? Why don't we talk about that?
Because I have a lot of issues.
Why don't we talk about
I don't want to talk about
connecting
on the show.
to the highest self, your truest self, instead of telling people who to be?
You know you're coming back on the show, right? Because
I hope so.
Yeah, I feel
There's
like
so much to talk about.
I know this.
Like I've been, like I said, I've been doing this work for 7 years, and I've just about scratched the surface.
So here's your homework for next time is to convince my wife to come on the show and sit beside you. That's your homework.
Yeah.
Everyone stare to make her uncomfortable. All right, go ahead. What about the rest of your...
And the last stones that I have are citrine, and citrine is all about abundance, and it's all about finding your truest self, creativity, and that's what you're doing here. So the place where this likes to live is in the leftmost corner of your house to the front door. So the furthest left corner of the house. Stick this there, and then every once in a while throw them outside or let them sit in the sun or the full moon and let them clear. And everything is intention. So even when we pull the cards or even when we clear, it's intention. So we're clearing the house of anything, good or bad. Everything just is. We're clearing the house. There's nothing here except for love and light.
Damn right.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Okay, so do you have a lighter? I didn't think about that.
Matt, do you have a lighter?
Of course
And there are many ways you can clear if you don't feel comfortable burning things. There's essential oils. If you don't do well with scent, like there are other ways to clear. You can do an energetic clearing. Open up the windows in your house and just say a little intention, like connect to whatever it is that you connect to. So before I go to bed every night, I open up my windows and I say, God, clear and cleanse this house. Only the love and light of God is welcome here. Everything else, leave. And you want to be clear and concise. So let's do it.
Burn some sage.
I can't burn the I'll leave this for you guys though. Actually I'm gonna take this little piece. This is copal. This is tree resin. Frankincense is like a tree sap that they dry and then you burn. But it's funny because this, like, frankincense was one of the gifts that was given to Jesus by one of the wise men. And it's something that's been burned for a long time to clear and cleanse. And that's a really good banishing one. Like, if you think you have any shit in the house, like, this is the one. This is like bringing out the big guns.
So whenever certain members of our family come over,
Yeah.
we're going to have to pelt them with that.
And then sage, this is kind of like the baby beginner stuff. You do want to be careful about where it comes from, because it is
Don't get it from Mexico.
It's rare or going extinct, so you just want to be careful of where it comes from. And sage is like a really good one for just calling in spirits, calling in your highest guides, and then clearing and cleansing. I like to use sage personally, and I only really use frankincense every once in a while when I feel like my house needs like
if there's a lot of fighting
and
negativity
spring
going
cleaning. Like, not even sometimes. Like sometimes it's your own shit too, you know.
Not me. I'm perfect.
Yeah, aren't we all?
Yep. Biggest guy in my house. So this is everything you recommend doing before doing like a card reading to kind of safeguard the house.
Yeah, and I want to make sure I'm protected too, so I will call in my ancestors and my highest self, your highest self, and just make sure that the messages coming through, it's no trickster energy. Like the messages coming through are of your highest good.
So when you do
and sometimes
that,
they don't make sense. I mean, like this is a new deck I'm working with. Like, not that they don't make sense, but in the moment, it's like, oh, I don't really know about that. But then afterwards, you're thinking about it and you're like, oh, well, yeah, this actually makes sense.
But I'm wondering if that's piecing together maybe parts of your past and your future. And I'm sure the
Yeah,
more
so
you
when
do
you
it.
pull, I mean, there's different ways to pull. So we'll do 3 today, and that's typically past, present, future. All right, so let's
I just
get
want
started.
to preface this by saying if this mentions anything in the future about other women, Brianna, it's not my fault.
So that's the thing about the cards, too. Everyone's like, oh, are they going to tell me that I'm going to die? And it's like, no, but you are going to die. We're all
We're all gonna
we're
die.
all going to die on this plane, and then we're going to go somewhere else. But, like, it's not earth-shattering, and once you know about it, you can change it, too. Like, nothing's set in stone. We all have free choice. You have the choice to live the life of your dreams. Like, so this could be, you could use this as a tool to be like, okay, if I continue going down this path and acting X, Y, Z, this is going to be the outcome. Or if I change my ways, if I break the pattern and I start working towards where I truly see myself going, then there's going to be a different outcome.
So this should be looked at as just a tool to help you maybe alter your decision-making patterns.
I think it helps you to make more informed decisions.
It gives you like a baseline.
Yeah.
You know, like, let's check your status right now.
It's like going for your annual checkup with the doctor, but it probably makes more sense.
Yeah, and sometimes, like, you need that healthy reality check where it's like, okay, you could be doing better.
So if you go to a card reading and somebody says turn your head and cough, you should probably just turn your head and leave. Yeah, you don't have to go through that part of the physical.
Anyways, so there's different decks you can work with. Like, the traditional tarot deck dates back, again, before the Middle Ages. And those, they were like playing cards. So they have suits, swords, wands, pentacles, and cups. And then they have like the same thing, king, queen, and like the various numbers. So it's kind of interesting to see how that's evolved. This is a little bit different. This is a spirit animal deck that I've been working with, and it's really cool. It's called the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit Deck and Guidebook, and it was written and illustrated by this woman, Kim Kranz. And when I first started seeing this deck, I started seeing it on Instagram because I obviously follow like a lot of spiritual people. And I was like, oh, this deck is really cool. And then I kept popping up. I kept seeing it. And I was like, oh. And then I went to Phoenix in June, and it was sitting on the table. One of the women that I was staying with doing this yoga teacher training, she had just gotten the deck. And it was so weird because crow is an animal that brings me messages a lot.
Fight milk.
And so I have a murder of crows that lives near me. That's what More Than Six is called, the murder of crows.
I remember that from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. That was a question once.
I don't know how I know that.
It's just a weird number for a lot of crows. It's a weird way to say a lot of crows.
Yeah, I like it though. I don't know why. I got that dark humor, I guess.
See a lot of crows. It could possibly be
murder.
Yeah,
Very
a lot
ominous.
of people associate it with death. I don't. They're the messenger birds, and they're also really smart. So if you do something, if you help a crow out, if you do something kind for a crow, they remember you and they'll try and reciprocate. And it's funny because, like, my crows are around all the time, and that's how they get my attention. So going back to my grandmother, when she passed, I was in hospice with her, and I ran out for a minute to get everyone food, and I thought that she had passed. I thought that I wasn't there, and I started to freak out, and I was rushing, and I got to the parking lot of hospice, and a crow was crowing, and I was like, where's that coming from? And there was a blue jay sitting right next to the crow, which, if anyone who knows anything about birds, that like is not a thing. And my grandmother was always obsessed with blue jays, and she used to, when my brother and I were little, she had them in her yard all the time, and she would feed them. She always had birdseed for them, and those were kind of like her messengers. Even though she would never say that because she was such a Catholic woman, but that's what they were. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's the sign that I'm looking for. And I knew she was still there. So I got upstairs and she was. And then when I fell down the mountain, one of the signs was I found a blue jay feather.
Really?
It was like at my feet. And my cousin was standing there for a while. I was like, how long have you been? Like, you didn't see that? It was like a giant blue jay feather. And he was like, no. And it was because I was meant to see it. He wasn't meant to see it, but
No
that was
kidding.
one of my signs. I was like, yeah, bitch, I saved your ass.
That's wild.
So yeah, this deck is really cool. When I got there, Crow came up, and Crow is like a very mystical card. It's like, keep flying your freak flag and like talking to spirit and being that girl because you're on the right path. So it was very weird. And then the other weird thing that was happening is like a lot of my family, as much as they're like into this, they're kind of like not, because the Catholics can't dabble with the witchery. But that's maybe another episode.
Yeah, I see a lot of episodes for you in the future.
Yeah,
this is some good stuff.
Well, the Stregeria, like the Italian witches, a lot of their traditions, the Catholic Church had to steal because they wanted Rome, and they had to convert the pagans somehow. So they said, "Oh, well, we'll take Yule, and that'll be Jesus's birthday." And
Really?
there's a lot of witch tradition in the church. So sorry to burst any bubbles. And you could look that up too. It's pretty
Can't
wild.
show this to my grandmother. Her head will explode.
You know what though? Like my grandmother is an old Italian nonna, not old, but she's a little old nonna, and like a lot of the weird things that she would do, I'm like, oh, this is like in my blood. And so these cards, I was talking with my cousin, and she kept getting owl message, and she's not into this at all. And when I looked it up, owl was ancestral energy and calling in your ancestors to help basically live your dharma, because they're here. Your ancestors they're like the army behind you that you don't even see.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool.
Dharma
This deck is a little wild. It even kind of spooks me.
Well, I'm really curious to do this now.
Okay. So first we're going to light the sage. Usually, like I would walk around, but we'll improvise since we're here. And I'll just ask that our energy fields are cleared and that we're protected by our highest and best self, and that our ancestors are with us, guiding us, and that the messages here come from love and light and are only messages of God. Yeah, it smells good, doesn't it?
Pass that shit over here, bro. So that's all you need to do at this point?
I mean, it's up to the individual. There's no right or wrong answer. However you want to create the space, it's a ritual. And we've kind of gotten away from that outside of like the church, but that's all ritual that came from somewhere. So it's whatever you feel called to do. And it might be different every time. Usually I just let spirit guide the way, and something will pop into my head and I'll be like, that's fucking crazy, but okay. We'll go with it. It's like burn roses today instead of burning sage. I'm like, all right, if you say so. Because if you don't listen, then they start screaming. It's like, fuck. All right, enough.
I get yelled at enough in my house. I don't need spirits, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. We all get beat up enough throughout life. I'm going to do it one more time. There's no... different people will argue different things. But when I feel like I should stop shuffling is when I do. And then I'll just have you cut the deck. Nope. Yep, just leave it.
Okay.
Oh. Sorry, I got a lot of stuff.
You missed some cool stuff.
I know, this deck is beautiful.
What do you want? Your present, future?
Yeah, but if spirit tells me like something else, like if it's more of like a pattern, like like here, this is like creation energy, and this is connector energy. And Fox is kind of like connecting to your inner child. So
That
this is like
explains.
what you're doing here. Yeah. This is what you're doing here. And they're different elements for each of them. I think the last two are earth, and the butterfly is air. So let's see.
I was really hoping for a crow. I'm not going to lie to you.
I know, so was I.
I was so hoping.
Spirit doesn't work that way.
What happens if I just like redo it?
You'd be surprised, like the same cards could come up. I've gotten the stingray like the last 3 days in a row, and I'm like, what the hell? I want another card.
So how frequently can you do this?
I mean, you can pull a card a day. It depends, like whatever you feel called to do. If you want to ask the cards like a specific intention, like if there's something you want to know specifically, like I said, it's just all about intention. So you want to ask in a clear, concise way. You don't want to use any funky wording because spirit doesn't understand English.
Yeah.
It understands energy. So you just want to be like as clear and concise as possible. And that's where like stones are kind of good too. So like you're working in creative energy. We're working in creative energy right now. So like that's spirit energy is like, yeah, there's a shitload of creation here. You know, like you look at the spider. What does a spider do? They're creating art all day long.
That's what I do, Matthew. I create art.
Yeah, this. Yeah. But anyway, so a butterfly is undergoing great change and transformation. The energy of the butterfly is with us during periods of transition. Since air is the element of the heart, heart opening, we've been doing that by drinking this tea.
I feel so loved right now.
This change usually involves relationships, or if you love your job, perhaps it's your career. So that's interesting. Since transition is accompanied by some amount of discomfort, be extra patient and kind during this time, especially if the butterfly is you. Let solid friends and activities support you like a cocoon, committing to one daily routine, a meal, a practice, a prayer, done at the same time and place, will do wonders for lifting a butterfly's spirit. So when butterfly energy is in balance, it's cheerful, it's graceful. When it's out of balance, it's frustrated and fragile. And to bring into balance is to create a daily routine. And then the spider.
I'm very interested in the spider. Because my wife hates spiders.
It's funny. I
Deathly
used to
afraid of them.
Yeah, I used to be really afraid of spiders until somebody was like, "Oh, but that's because you have a ton of spider energy." And I was like,
You have spider energy.
Spidey sense. Basically,
Yeah.
is what you're telling me.
yeah, and it's
You might want to switch seats
spiders-
with me for this one.
Spiders, people who are spiders are the connectors of the world. They're networkers. They build
That's all I do,
community.
baby.
They build community, and that's like, that's what women do. All right, so you're going to be blown away by this one because it's what we've been talking about. So spider, creator of prosperity through life's work or dharma. The spider is an ingenious creator. Its greatest gift is weaving the thread of dharma into vast, intricate web that supports the spider and those around it, both financially and spiritually. It is hard work, but the spider neither tires nor becomes impatient. This card reminds us creativity is everywhere. Be process-oriented rather than results-oriented, and soon your work becomes like the weaving of a magical, priceless tapestry. Abundance flows. When in balance, spider is appreciative, enthusiastic, and prosperous. When it's out of balance, it's discouraged, tired, or forlorn. To bring into balance is playful creativity. I think that's what like a lot of people lack, but you're kind of
Awesome.
yeah, so what this is telling me is like you're spider in balance because you're working in this creative energy, you're working in this creative space.
It's funny because some of that like the goal of me wanting to do all this is I want to motivate people to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I would want to nudge people to kind of, how many people do you
Spark
know in
it
your
in
life?
somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you got to,
like,
once you start on the
paying it
journey, you
forward.
got to pay it forward.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's about, like, it's easy to get frustrated and be like, oh my God, like I only had this many likes on this post and like no one's seeing it. And it's easy to get kind of caught up in that. But it's not your business. Like you're doing your work, you're putting it out there. So like just keep being in flow with that. Like don't worry about numbers or who's seeing it or anything like that. Just be like, live in the process because you're going to be learning as you go.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then Fox is like playful, fun energy.
Crazy like a fox, Matthew.
Black fox.
Smart, strong, wise teacher. The fox.
Where's the mic? Can I drop this right now?
The fox is an enchanting creature with plenty of mystique to go around. Fox personalities are skillful in business and also make great teachers. They are quick to learn and adapt well to new situations. Foxes are ideal life partners as they commit to relationships for the long term, and their natural charisma keeps things exciting. It's like basically what you guys said.
Literally,
Yeah.
Honey, can you come into the frame here so people could... I just want the audience to see this one time I was right. Come here. Come right here. Just look at the camera and say Steve was right.
Steve was right.
All right, you can go away.
But
Thank you.
but she probably has fox energy too because she supports it. Like it would be easy
Oh, she's
for
foxy,
a
all right.
wife to freak the fuck out and be like, you're gonna bring your friends and all of this equipment and all of this shit into my house and it's gonna be set up for how long, and like you're gonna have people in
I
and
did
out.
get a
Like
little bit
it
of
would
that.
be easy. It would be easy to kind of like sideswipe your, like, piss all over your parade.
Well,
but
that old happy wife, happy life. If she's not on board with me doing this, then it probably doesn't happen.
yeah, exactly. But
And then
it's
we're
cool that
divorced
she's
and
supporting your creative
How do you
energy.
split 5 cats? It just gets weird.
She's supporting your creative energy, and you kind of created that space here. You've created a creative energy.
I'm so creative.
Well, yeah, you're a Leo, so.
Damn straight. The dopest of the dope.
Okay. Fox energy helps us to stay true to those most dear to us. When this card appears, reconnect to those you love. Foxes don't do well when they slip away. When in balance, they're magical, ingenious teachers, and monogamous. When out of balance, they're sneaky, unsure of their identity. To bring into balance partnership and connection. So, like, I think that in all of these situations, you're pretty balanced. You're working towards your dharma, and even though it's going to be ever evolving, you're on the right path, and like spirit is showing you.
It certainly feels that way because,
Yeah.
again, like I said about you before, I don't feel like this is something that I'm pursuing. I feel like I'm being drawn to this. Like this, I've always had this innate ability to kind of motivate, inspire, entertain people. I enjoy doing that. But this is something like this platform is going to allow me to touch a lot of lives, and that's kind of what I'm hoping to get from this. This is not something I'm doing for like financial gain or anything like that. It's just something that I feel like I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
That's the best way I could describe it.
Yeah, and we're all here really to be in service to one another. We've just been taught that that's not what we're supposed to be doing because that doesn't fit the narrative. That doesn't help progress this this structure that we live in. But if we all unlearned that, like, you know, be fearful of your neighbor, if we all unlearned that pattern and we all started becoming more accepting of one another, we all started to create community. And I think that it's definitely happening. Like, you see it more and more.
We need to go to an Amish community. That's exactly what we need to do.
I
kinda
don't
what this
know
sounds
about
like.
that, but
All right, I'll go. I'll let you know.
yeah, tell me about it. I'll be curious.
I'll bring you back some butter.
Or some Amish bread. That shit's good.
Yeah, see? See, I'm onto something. Bread and butter.
Who doesn't love carbs?
I love them.
But yeah, just supporting one another, going back to kind of like it takes a village. Like, I think we lost that for a little while, and it's time to come back to that. And that's why people love yoga, and they don't know why. It's because you go into these studios and there's a sense of community, and the people around you are like also doing the work. They're like trying to find this inner peace, and that there's something very magical about that. And I think that's what keeps bringing people back. Like you said, you've done yoga in the past and you're kind of getting the call to go back to that. And it's like, yeah, because it's more than just the physical movement. It's more than just like toning your ass.
Although, Matthew, that's not a bad thing.
That's not a bad thing, and it's okay if you're there for that because there's a certain seed that's being planted.
So listen, Giana, thank you very much for coming on. This
My
was
pleasure.
fantastic. I don't know about you guys. I definitely feel like I learned a lot, and I know we're going to have you back on because we touched on a lot of good things here. So why don't you let the audience know anything that you want to plug, if you want to talk about your Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah.
Tell everyone where they can find you.
You can follow me on Instagram at Nearly Enlightened, or my personal page, which is I am Giana Rosa, IamGianaRosa. And I'm also on Facebook. It's currently like Giana Rosa LMTRYT or something like that because they won't let me change it to Nearly Enlightened. Fuck Facebook.
Scumbags.
I know.
We should start our own, enlightenedbook.com.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
You're welcome. We should hurry up and copyright that.
Write it down.
Book is like,
Yeah, so follow me on Instagram, and I'm in the process of launching like a mentorship program. So just
Yeah, you're going to
people who
Arizona.
are more into this. Yeah. So I'm going out to Arizona for a little while, and you can follow all my crazy adventures and me just like listening to Spirit and being like, yeah, move 26,000 miles away on a 3-month notice. No big deal.
Yeah, that'll be worth it. What I think it'd be cool is if we did like a Skype episode while you're out there.
Yes.
to
I
kinda
mean,
see what you're
something's
doing
calling
with
me
your life.
out there. So like, we'll see what it is. Stay tuned.
All right, that works, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Now, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the Bardi Shop on YouTube. Until next time, we'll see you next week.